Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to a special So Much to Talk About. My name is Nabaté Isles, and without further ado, there's a lot to talk about. I want to invite my friends on and everything like that to discuss certain current events going on in sports. And a current event that's going on since there's nothing really going on the field or court is The Last Dance. That's pretty much been taking up an engaging material that's been taking up our time for sure. And I want to introduce this brother right here. He's definitely one of the budding sports journalists around and a commentator. He has his own podcast called Mark My Words, which is MARC My Words Show, which is available on all major streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and Google Play. And it's my pleasure to introduce this brother right here from Washington, D.C., Mr. Marcus Lamar. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you for having me. Anytime I get a chance to talk sports, it's a privilege and an honor for me.
Oh, no doubt. It's great to have you on, and I love your viewpoints. You know, definitely like you are very, very straight up, very direct, and you pull no punches on how you feel for sure. Now, we Michael Jordan, LeBron James. We're gonna talk about that in a second, but the Last Dance. You know, what did you get out of episodes 7 and 8 tonight?
So I left episodes 7 and 8 a little bit disappointed, and
okay.
The reason I felt a little bit disappointed was because, to me, it wasn't as climactic as the first 6 episodes were. They centered more so around MJ's return. It was a lot of emotions given the fact that his father had been murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it wasn't really focused on the basketball component of his career, whereas the first 6 episodes, I was glued to the TV, and I've watched each episode 1 through 6 multiple times, at least 4 or 5 times minimum. So I kind of left episodes 7 and 8 kind of feeling like, all right, maybe I need to go back and watch because it might have been something that I might have missed.
Wow, but I gotta say though, 7 and 8, and you know how it is with like any type of like, you know, films, for example, it's always right before the end, because 9 and 10 will be the last episodes. It's always they want to leave you hanging to get to the climactic part, you know, for sure. But I think there was a lot that went on in 7 and 8. I mean, the what Michael went through with the emotion of his father, but also too the difference of baseball, him being humbled playing baseball, you know, and that was also his first dream, which he always said when he was, you know, even when he was like in the prime of his career before he retired the first time, and you know, still he was in his prime after his first retirement too. But he was humbled for sure. And then the whole thing about the baseball muscles, the baseball regimen, and the baseball conditioning compared to the basketball conditioning. And let me tell you, it made me think that he was the GOAT that summer after summer 1995 during Space Jam. The energy he had, all the cats would say. Reggie Miller was like, how is he doing this? You know, shooting from like 6 to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. then playing pickup games 3 hours, like with the top players. I mean, that shows you Mike right there is the GOAT right there. And he was analyzing them too. That's why he had like Patrick Ewing there and Reggie and all those cats. So, but what was your take on how MJ just, you know, he was diabolical in that way? What's your take?
So I want to start with the retirement, right? So I have this theory that I've heard people say, whereas nowadays people are not interested in information, they're interested in affirmation or confirmation. So if you watch this documentary, episode 7 and 8, and you believe that David Stern in the NBA suspended Michael under the table for any purported gambling controversy, then watching the episodes is not going to change your mind, because you're looking to see, okay, yeah, David Stern seems like he's lying, seeing as how he was laughing at the press conference. And if you remember, for those of you who might be either too young to remember, I did my homework. In the final press conference Michael had when he first retired, he said, I would love to come back to the NBA if the Bulls and David Stern will have me. Now, for someone to say that, it's an impression that basically I would love to come back and play, but I'm at their mercy because I might have done something that is not favorable or desirable. But that's neither here nor there. So I find it hard in my eyes, right? From what I'm told, and I get it. His father was murdered. after winning the 3rd championship.
Mm-hmm.
But the documentary said that Michael told somebody he was thinking about retiring in 92 when he was only sitting on 2 championships, which was 1 less than Larry Bird's 3
That's
and
right.
3 Magic Johnson's 5. So if MJ is wired the way everyone keeps telling me he is, there's no way I'm buying that he would have been content walking away from the game, knowing that Magic would have had 3 up on him in the championship department, and knowing that Larry Bird would have had 1 up on him, seeing as how they were his 2 biggest adversaries when he was coming up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about that, but I just have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I think he was just saying like, because he was really tired though. When you think about it, like everything going on, and especially, and it just shows you how great those Pistons teams were, which I know you don't agree with. You would say,
I respect their place in basketball history and their role in Michael's matriculation through the NBA and in his career. However, I think that as we've gotten further removed from their style of basketball play, that people in the older generation tend to romanticize that era, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm all for physicality and imposing your will on someone, whether it be physically, psychologically, spiritually, or mentally, but the bully ball brand of basketball that was played is just not basketball. Like, there's no skill that is required to knock someone on their backside or to jump on someone's back as they're going up for a layup. Now, I understand people think today's game is as soft as cottonelle tissue, and we kind of need to have a happy medium. I'm all for that. But even Michael said it. He's like, this is not, and some people probably thought Michael was throwing shade, but he said they're not, I don't really consider them legitimate champions because they're bad for the league, which the ratings dictated. They were bad for the league.
Oh, but let me tell you, with the Pistons, what the thing is that they did have the skill. They did have the Isaiah Thomas, who remember when he first came in, you know what I mean? He was all flash, and he was able to really take his game and kind of like go through that metamorphosis to know that he had to be tougher, and he was also the heart and soul of that team. Joe Dumars, tremendous skill because he gave Mike a lot of trouble, and he wasn't dirty with Mike. He was on him, on ball, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had skill players. I mean, Mark Aguirre's skill, and the Adrian Dantley before that. Those guys weren't dirty or physical. Those guys are scoring champs. Adrian Dantley scoring champ. Mark Aguirre dropped 26, 28 points when he was with Dallas, but he had to alter his game, of course, when he joined Detroit, and also him and Zeke are boys from Chicago. So I mean, and then Bill Laimbeer, very skillful still. He was one of the first big men to shoot from the outside. Very good three-point shooter. People forget about that. He stretched the floor, Bill Laimbeer, back in those days, and he kind of was ahead of his time when you look at all these 7-footers now taking those shots, So, and then, of course, Buddha, James Edwards, Rick Mahorn was a great physical defender and rebounder, but those guys had skills, though, still, too, and that was the thing. They frustrated teams with their physicality, but then they were able to finish in the fourth quarter skillfully and being able to execute down the stretch.
I think what was impressive about, and I know we'll kind of get back on topic.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Mike saw, okay, we got to game 7, and had Scotty, many people believe, not suffered that migraine, they would have beaten them that year.
Mm-hmm.
For Michael, and that's one thing I admire about episode 7 and 8, he loses to Orlando, just like he lost to Detroit, and came back and swept them. And there's something to be said when you sweep a team. When you demoralize a team, when they don't get one game off of you, that's an emphatic statement like, we are here. Whatever you had going on is over.
Mm-hmm.
Over. So I would say that was impressive. And Jordan, just seeing how his behavior is almost sociopathic in the sense that
I was about to ask you about his demeanor.
all it takes is something, even if it's something slight. We all feel slighted at times, whether it's from a friend, a family member, a significant other, a boss. But with MJ, it could come from anyone. It could be a concession stand worker like, hey, MJ, I seen you miss a free throw. Okay, I got something. Like, that's what I think separates him from anybody we've ever seen, because I've never seen anyone exhibit behavior like that on any type of sport.
Yep. Yep, and it's funny too, even with security guards, but he kept losing to them though with the toss.
Yep.
But it showed you too how Mike was such a chill dude too, to be hanging out with the security guards and joking with them. It was like he was hanging with them every day, you know.
Yep.
So
And
cool.
I felt him when he said, "Hey, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competitive problem." I'm one of those people where even if I'm playing with children, if we're playing Uno, Connect Four, Trouble Board game, I don't care what the game is. You know how some adults will let children win? I'm never doing. If you 3, 6, if you old enough to play, you old enough to catch these L's. So I feel Mike on that. I like to win. I don't care if it's a video game, a board game, a card game. I'm competitive in that sense too.
Wow, but also I got to ask you a question too about the 95-96 Chicago Bulls 72-10. Now,
Yes.
are they the greatest team of all time, single season?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Now, what's interesting is what I will say this. I was talking to someone last week about it. I prefer MJ in his first three-peat versus his second. And I don't think that the 95-96 Bulls is the best version of those 6 championship teams. And I know that seems outrageous because it's like, how could you go against them? They won 72 games. It was their 4th championship. But MJ in those first 3 championships was a monster. Like a monster from three-point range, efficiency-wise, scoring the basketball. If you watch the second three-peat as he got older, which is natural, his numbers still tailed off. And MJ's version of tailing off is coming down to a ho-hum 32 points per game with like 7 dimes and 4 rebounds. So still really great. But the first three-peat, I'm looking at his stats. I saw a graphic that had all 6 finals and all of his stats from every series. And it was like, bruh, he was a monster, especially in that Phoenix series where he dropped 41.
And the league was better too. I think the league was better in those early 90s. Yeah, definitely. And that's when you had all those dream team members were in their prime, you know, like late 90s, they were starting to slip, you know, for sure. And now I think the greatest team ever myself, I'm going to say the 66-67 Philadelphia 76ers. No doubt, because like you had, I mean, Wilt, that was the thing. Wilt was becoming a distributor, not just that deadly rebounder and everything and a scorer, but he was a distributor. But then you had Hall of Famers Billy Cunningham, you know, Kangaroo Kid. You had Hal Greer, you had Chet Walker, all those cats. I mean, this team was so loaded at that time, and I felt, and Alex Hannum was their coach. You know, it's like, you know, one of the great coaches who later on won an ABA title as well. So I got to say, like, for me, that 76ers team was, to me, and remember, they ended the Boston Celtics streak, their 8 championship streak. They ended it, you know? So that, to me, they're the best. They're the best ever.
Speaking, if they were to play the Bulls, I know you wouldn't bet against your man MJ, even though the Bulls would have no answer for Chamberlain, obviously. There's no way you could bet. His competitive side won't let him lose.
Woo, but you know what? They had mad guards and mad athleticism at the wings. I don't know. I see the 7 games, 76ers. Definitely. Definitely, yeah. And MJ's not my guy. And that's what I'm saying. I hated MJ because, you know, I'm a Knicks fan, but I hated him coming up. But I just had to respect him. I said, this cat cannot lose. After 1990, when they lost the 7 games, which the documentary talked about how Pippen had that migraine, he wasn't the same. They could have maybe stole Game 7 in Detroit at Auburn Hills, but at the Palace. But yeah, I think overall,
that associated with Jordan, and I get it. When he started winning championships, he really didn't stop. Like, if we're really being honest, now we know he had an 18-month hiatus. Whatever you want to attribute that hiatus to is up to you. But for the narrative in this episode, or these 2 episodes, was that when MJ came back, he was fatigued and he had to get back into basketball shape. Which, if anyone has played any type of basketball, whether it's recreational or organized, you know that you have to have cardio endurance in order to play basketball. Running up and down on both ends requires a lot. Right. But MJ averaged more points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks when he came back than when they actually swept him. So how can the narrative be, oh, well, when he came back, he needed to get his legs under him, but he had a better statistics than when they actually swept him when he had his legs under him? Like, people don't know that because they just regurgitate certain narratives. But I actually went and looked at it because I'm like, there's no way that could be true. But it actually is true. If anyone's watching this, go look at his numbers when he returned and they lost in 6 to Orlando in 94 and then, or 93, whenever it was. And then look at when he actually, and then it's like, wow, he actually averaged better numbers coming off of his retirement than when he actually had his legs under him. So it's just the mythology that's attached to him. It becomes too much because people just hear things and they're just like, oh, this got to be true. Like,
oh man, but that's the thing. But with him, I think with him, he was just, when you see him in the regular season, like coming up, he was like perfection. It's like, seriously, like I don't remember a bad game that cat had. Seriously, like I don't remember him, like he may have had games where he shot 10 for 27 or something like that.
yeah.
But still, like, I mean, his shot selection, the way he let the game come to him, and that's why I hate when people compare when they say Kobe was the next time. No, Kobe's shot selection and I think Kobe too, his decisions he made sometimes were not Michael's level. I'm sorry, and not even Bron's level. You know what I mean? That's like at all, So
I'm said that because I know people think player efficiency rating and usage rate, this is all stuff that analytics geeks sit around and converse about, but it matters. I don't understand how anybody would prefer anything that's inefficient over something that's efficient. In life, you want a car that's more efficient. You want a refrigerator that's more efficient. You want people around you or in your circle to be more efficient. So the thing about Kobe is, even though he tried to mirror MJ, he came close in terms of trying to copy his moves. But what makes MJ so remarkable is not only was he dominant and great, but he was efficient. Like, MJ is the leader in the NBA in terms of player efficiency rating. And right under him is one LeBron James. Like you said, Kobe was inefficient. He might get you 30 points, but it's going to take him 29 shots.
Most career misses in NBA history.
Right. It's one of the reasons I marvel at someone like a Kevin Durant, who, I know this is going to be, quote unquote, a hot take, but if I had to build a starting five all time, and I know people are going to say I'm favoring the younger generation, which I am, Magic or Steph Curry would probably be at point for me. But after MJ, I'm taking Kevin Durant. I don't need MJ and Kobe to be on the same team, because Kevin Durant has proven you can plop him into any team, any system, any situation, and he is going to get his. He's a fit.
And now let me ask you, what about LeBron? So you would put LeBron, like
LeBron is going to run the 4. So I would have Steph or Magic running point, Jordan at the 2, KD or LeBron at the 3, and whoever's not at the 3 would be at the 4. And then rounding out my 5 would probably be Shaquille O'Neal. Prime Shaquille O'Neal, I'm just impartial to. Like, I grew up on prime Shaquille O'Neal, so I have to roll with him.
Wow. Okay. Well, now my lineup would be, I would say Hakeem at the 5, at the 4, Timmy Duncan or KG, one of those two at the 4. I will put at the 3. I will put at the 3 Braun, at the 2. MJ. Yeah, MJ. I mean, by default, you know what I mean. But if I had another choice, I would go, I gotta say Jerry West. You know what I mean? Maybe because he could be a hybrid of the 2 and 1. You know what I mean? Because that dude, could do everything. And Oscar, I wouldn't mind having Oscar and Jerry West starting in my backcourt. You know what I'm saying?
I like selections because people kill Jerry West for his finals record, and I emphasize to people, finals records is not an indicator of how great someone is. That is it's such a lazy sports take. It's almost, when someone says, oh, but LeBron's 3-6 or Jerry West is 1-9, it's almost like I don't even want to continue the conversation, because your sports knowledge is obviously not as deep as I want it to be to even engage. I mean, simplicity in nature.
Yeah, and people forget that Jerry West has the second highest scoring average in, I believe, in NBA Finals history, I believe, and he was the MVP losing in 69. Right. Yeah.
Like, dude can ball. And when you lay your eyes on somebody, can they play or not? That's what it boils down to. It's not about, oh, well, this person's got more championships, because it's a silly metric, right? You're looking at someone like say for instance, I would say, okay, Magic has more rings than LeBron.
Right.
But I don't think anyone, if they're starting the team, would say or think that Magic Johnson is better than LeBron. He's not the defender he is. He's not as athletic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Equal passing or comparable passing with more scoring. So anyone choosing Magic over LeBron is just like, why would you even do that?
Yeah, LeBron has surpassed Magic for sure. Definitely.
2 rings behind him. So that's why the rings argument is, I say this all the time with stats. Stats tell a story, but not the full story, right? So you can just go into the box score and say, oh, player X scored 30 points, had 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. Context matters. And no one nowadays wants to have any nuanced conversation. It's almost like, okay, sports is a zero-sum game, so you have a winner and a loser, but are we going to just wash over the details?
Right.
Because you go into a finals devoid of your second and third best player, are you really expected to still win the series? Looking at one LeBron James in 2015 against the Warriors. So, I mean, that's just my take on things, but yeah, I'm rolling with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Braun, I'll give to Braun too. His finals, what he did, and I'm tired of people saying about Kyrie could have been MVP of the finals in 2016. Please, because Braun, no one will ever lead. I think one player that has a shot, if he's able to get to the next level and take it to the finals and lead his Bucks to the finals, Giannis could possibly do this as well. But to lead a final series in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. I'm sorry. Like, I don't see anyone I see only Giannis if he's able to elevate his game to get to the finals doing that.
Agreed. I agree.
Yes, indeed. So, okay, so your starting lineup, okay, I'm going to counter your starting lineup with different players. So, because I know you have Magic or Steph at the 1. At the 2, you have Mike. At the 3, you have Durant. At the 4, you have Braun, right? Yeah. And at the 5, you have Shaq. Okay. So I'll take Hakeem at the 5. At the 4, I'll take Timmy Duncan or KG. I'll take at the 3 Bird. I'll take at the 1 and 2. I'll take Oscar and Jerry. So yeah, man.
I really like Larry Bird, and I think as time has progressed to the younger generation, Larry Bird gets very disrespected. I think he has a melanin problem, not saying that he lacks melanin, but I think the reason that he does lack melanin is the reason why a lot of people don't give him his just desserts. But Larry Legend is, and I didn't even grow up on him. I just went back and did my homework. I mean, 24 points a game, 10 rebounds over his career, could pass the basketball with the best of them, and was clutch and could shoot your lights out. Now, I think Kevin Durant, from a skill perspective, is better than Larry Bird.
Oh, but he's longer and more athletic, for sure.
Right. So when you have a 7-footer, Kevin Durant is a more sophisticated, skilled version of Dirk Nowitzki. He's a better defender than Dirk. He's 7 feet with a 7'6" wingspan reportedly, and he's got ball handling skills like a guard, but could shoot from 35. When you couple all of that, I think he actually has an argument to be the most skilled player in the NBA. I just don't think he's the best player in the NBA, because when you ask him to shoulder the burden of carrying a team as the number one guy, I hear it when KD talks. My personality naturally is an alpha personality. KD is a beta. He says it all the time. I just want to play basketball. I'm not interested in extracurricular activities. I really wish I didn't have to converse with the media. When someone says that, that lets me know you just want to ride the back seat.
And when the fire gets hot, you don't want to be on that fire. You know what I mean? Yeah. Braun is on that fire all the time.
LeBron struggled with it at times in his career. He's embraced, this is my new reality, so I had better get used to it. Some people like being in the spotlight or limelight because it's a personality thing. Like, they like the praise and adulation that comes with it, but they also don't mind playing the role of villain. Like, I think people think that my personality is like, I like to troll. But my thing is, if you are constantly surrounded by like-minded people, then you need to get a new circle. Somebody in the group has to push back on something that someone's saying. Groupthink is extremely prevalent on social media when it comes to sports, when it comes to politics. And if no one's pushing back, and if there's no one offering any resistance in that circle, you guys are all just going to be yes men, and nothing's going to get accomplished because you guys are all going to be in agreement all the time.
And I can't, but the one thing I can't stand is when someone always has to be against. Like, that's what I like about you and what you bring facts, and you bring backup to what you're saying. You bring credibility. I can't stand there are people that say these things and don't make any sense, and they're set in their ways at all. You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous. But before we go, brother, you got to talk about your piece on LeBron James, like, and Michael Jordan. Because I know, you got Braun up there, for sure. But talk about your piece and promote where people could read it for sure.
So I actually have a good friend who's in media as well. He does a lot of wonderful things. He has a platform called the Sports Hit List. His name is Carl Kalanges. He's based out of New York. And what his platform allowed me to do was to pin some of my thoughts as to what my views are on the LeBron versus MJ debate. It's interesting because I asked myself, I'm like, when did LeBron actually enter into this conversation? I really try to pinpoint when this picked up, and I'll admit this publicly, ESPN is a driving factor in LeBron's insertion into this conversation.
Yeah, and especially now when we got no basketball,
right? So I applaud ESPN for pushing up the Last Dance documentary, but basically in the piece, I explain why the older generation has a hard time understanding why people like myself, who was born in 1993, full disclaimer, I'm only 27, acknowledge LeBron as the GOAT as opposed to Michael Jordan. Not that we don't respect Michael Jordan, but the younger generation specifically, and even those younger than me, they're more endeared to Michael Jordan because of his sneaker brand as opposed to what he actually did on the court. And everyone can say, well, they need to go do their homework if they claim to be sports fans or avid sports junkies. But watching Hardwood Classics is not the same because it's not happening in real time. That emotional connection is not there. And the example I give is 20 years from now, I don't know if you have children or not, but if you have children or nieces or nephews, or I have children or nieces and nephews, us explaining to them the impact that COVID-19 had on society in 2020
they ain't gonna know.
Than them actually having been here and experienced it, right? We're going on 2+ months of quarantining. So us telling them, like, yeah, we was on lockdown for 2 months in 2020. It was crazy. They're like, what? Like, what? It doesn't resonate or register as profoundly as it would if they actually experienced it in real time. So MJ's moments, whether he got over the hump that was the Bad Boy Pistons finally taking down the Lakers to win his first championship, his first of 2 3-peats, those moments are impressive. It's hard to argue against MJ. The 10 scoring titles, the 5 regular season MVPs, 6
and Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in '88. Yep,
right, All-Star dunk. I mean, it's hard to argue his resume, and I will admit this. Michael Jordan has had a greater career, even though LeBron's still painting his picture, than LeBron James up until this point. And who knows, maybe LeBron might have a greater career. But I think LeBron's a better all-around basketball player with the naked eye. The league had never seen anything like Michael prior to his arrival, but we've never seen anything like LeBron James. Calling him Magic Johnson 2.0, I think, is a disservice because Magic never played above the rim. Magic was never hovering anywhere around 30 points per game scoring. LeBron score at will every night if he wants to. But
and he doesn't. He feels dirty. He feels like he needs to take a shower if he scores like 50. Seriously.
Because and he said it. This is how I've grown up. I've always been. I want to get people involved. And the fact that for a non-scorer, LeBron is averaging 27 points per game for his career. With 7 rebounds, can defend all 5 positions if you really need him to. I think he's a better all-around player than MJ. Check out my piece, Sports Hit List WordPress. I give my thoughts on it. And again, I'm not trying to proselytize people into getting them to convert to my way of thinking. I'm totally fine with people acknowledging MJ is the GOAT because I see why. I get why the emotional attachment is there. The dude was different. Everything about him was different, and I elaborate on that in my piece, not to give too much away. Even the way he chewed gum was relentless.
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
There was a certain quality about him that
and sticking the tongue out.
Yeah, that drawing people in. So I get it. But it's like when you look at LeBron, and the main thing I really touch on is just a sustained level of excellence. I think nowadays we're too quick to crown people, but it's like, what does your body of work say? And LeBron James has been in the spotlight since he was 16 years old. He's came into the league in 2003, and in 2020, he's still in MVP talks and had his team in position to win a championship on a third different team. Yeah. I mean, I think that resume is hard to argue against as well.
You know, and I do see what you're saying. I wanted to debate you, but we said Brown. No. But I see what you're saying. I think MJ had to work so much because MJ, okay, he was the number 3 pick overall in 1984. Okay, he was National Player of the Year when he was the Carolinas junior year before he declared for the draft and everything. But when you look at it, though, he did not have the hype. He did not have the natural ability of a LeBron James coming in. And I see what you're saying. And LeBron was able to take that natural ability and take it to another level, being a great defender. He was ripped off in 2012. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year along with that MVP. That was ridiculous, you know. But I think, you know, I mean, what, Marcus Lamar won it? Come on now, you know. But you know, but I think, no, I do see what you're saying. But MJ's drive and his sociopathic nature, as you said, that's what puts him above LeBron, and still had the athletic ability, but his drive was second to none, you know, of course. So, you know, the hard work.
I think also what's remarkable about their past is LeBron was so good that he didn't need to go to college. But going to college worked in MJ's favor because those 3 years he spent at UNC helped develop his game.
And it was a different game because it was an older league at that time as well. It was a much older league. Yeah.
So when LeBron came into the league, I think LeBron is in the same boat. And I'm not comparing them, but just, you know, similar situations. When you look at someone like a Cam Newton in football, they're such physical specimens that they might not spend the time needed to really hone in on their craft because, and I'm not accusing either of them of doing that, but it's like they rely more so on their physical gifts as opposed to really working the meticulous details that, say, like a Michael who really perfected that fadeaway or that mid-range because he recognized I can't just throw my weight around and bully people around naturally. And I know someone is probably saying, well, Marcus, you said MJ's greater than LeBron and he's had a greater career, but you're saying LeBron's better. How can the two be true? I love Tom Brady as much as the next person, or maybe not the next person because people hate Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady has had a greater career than Aaron Rodgers. But if you watch Aaron Rodgers play football, at Aaron Rodgers' peak, there's no one throwing the football that was better than him. Yeah. And that's what the quarterback is supposed to do. So,
and Mahomes is challenging that. Yep.
Yes, and that's the thing where you can have someone who's better than someone, but not greater than. Aaron Rodgers is not greater than Tom Brady. He hasn't had a greater career, but from a raw talent standpoint and from a peak standpoint, Aaron Rodgers threw for 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions back in what was that? I think it was 2011. It was 15.
20, oh my God, yeah, and that's when the Giants went up in there. That's right. You know.
Compared to Mahomes, I'll never forget when Aaron Rodgers made that throw in 2016 against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, where he was flanked out left because a blitz was coming from his right, and he threw a dart across his body, and it was a hell of a catch by Jared Cook. There's no other quarterback outside of Mahomes who can make that play. Period. In the history of the league. Period.
And then and also those 2 long bombs to be able to tie the game at Arizona during a playoff game as well. You know,
so
like, to Jeff Janis.
I remember. It just things like that is when you look at someone and it's like, okay, you're qualitatively better than everyone else, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some people are blessed with certain gifts that others are not. Tom Brady's combine was one of the worst videos from any athlete that's ever been submitted or that's ever circulated in media, period, right? But separates him from someone like an Aaron Rodgers or a Cam Newton or a Matt Ryan is what people love about MJ, and that's the drive.
Yes, indeed. And you know what? And I got to tell you, too, and this is why I say I think Peyton's better than Brady. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
the reason why is because Brady, we talk, and I think he's the quantitative system quarterback, pretty much. You know what I mean? The glorified system quarterback, because with Belichick in that system, but people forget about Manning. He led 4 different coaches to Super Bowls. 4 different coaches. So that tells you. Mm-hmm.
And Manning with the ball in a 2-minute drill puts fear in your heart. Even when I used to play Madden, when he used to be audibling at the line of scrimmage in Omaha and Nebraska, you had fear that Peyton Manning was about to score. You know, the only reason he gets killed is because, again, he doesn't have the postseason success. You know, he came up, he was less than his normal self, which in Tom Brady's case, Tom either stayed the same as he did in the regular season or elevated his play. So his stature in NFL history is a little bit more secure. But, yeah, at the end of the day, all this stuff is subjective. People like who they like. They love who they love. 20 years from now, LeBron will release a documentary, and everyone who claims him as a GOAT now will be proclaiming he's a GOAT even more so then. So
no doubt. And let me tell you, he'll be like a good friend of mine, my Andre Guest. Got to give him a shout out. He wrote a piece on LeBron being the best regular season player of all time. Sure. You know,
definitely want to read that. Send me that link.
Absolutely, no doubt. But Marcus Lamar, make sure everybody to check Marcus out. Mark My Words, MARC My Words show, which is available on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, and Google Play. So Marcus, pleasure to have you on. I'm gonna have you on again because I'm gonna do like some dailies with friends of mine and everything, and definitely I want to have you on for sure again. So
like I said, anytime I get the chance to talk sports with like-minded people or people that don't think like me, I relish in the opportunity. I appreciate you having me. You're doing a lot of wonderful things with your podcast as well.
Thank you, brother.
That's my brother.
Yes, indeed. And for all of you to check that out, it's Where They At. Where They At. I interview retired athletes, and the latest episodes with Larry Brown, and that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, Google Play, et cetera. So make sure to check Mark My Words on those platforms, and Where They At, my show. So Marcus, thank you, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
Take care, man.
All right, take care.